What's going on, YouTube? So today we're going to try to get our intake on, and it'd be really cool to start the car today. I don't have a lot of time this morning. We got some plans this afternoon, but if I can at least get the intake on, get all electronics hooked up, we'll be really close to starting the car for the first time. We'll have to get coolant, but we do have oil. So let's go ahead and get this intake on, and we'll be even closer to getting this car ready to start. So as you can see here, guys, we're sticking on the intake manifold. A lot of S2000 guys really hate doing this task just because of the bottom intake bolts are really rough to get to. But as long as you have the right tools, it's not so bad. All right, intake is in. They're a little bit of a bear to get to those back bolts. So you got these bolts here, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then you got 2 studs on the very end, there and there. And then you got the ones underneath, which are the ones that are pretty rough to get to, especially these ones in the back. But you just got to get some universal joints, swivel joints like these guys, and you can get in there. It's rough, but it was rougher trying to get this in with an intake on. As you can see, there's a lot of stuff going on. So now we just got to hook up some hoses and some sensors and stuff, and we'll have everything hooked up, and then we'll go ahead and hook up charge pipe, the boost control valve, and all that stuff in the front. And we're really close to starting this girl up. So one thing that I decided to do is replace all these rubber lines. So these are just your standard, just rubber. I hate rubber. So these lines get brittle, they crack, they leak, they get very stiff. So this one's really stiff because it's near heat, and rubber sucks. So we got this nice silicone hose from A&F Fittings Direct. Okay, and this is really nice stuff. So this is all really flexible silicone, really thick wall. Look how thick that wall is. So it holds up to a lot of boost pressure. It's just really, really nice stuff. They have all different kinds of sizes. Here we have a little bit bigger for our larger size. So we're gonna replace most of the rubber, if not 90% of all his rubber lines, with silicone. So we got everything in. I forgot something though. So he decided to take the AC out of this car. Doesn't really use it, and it's just more crap to deal with. So I never got the non-AC belt, so I need to get a serpentine belt. So if AutoZone up the road here has one, I'll grab one. But when you take the AC off, you need to get a shorter belt because you got less pulleys. So I just noticed that, putting everything together. But we'll get that taken care of. But everything else is wrapped up. Took a little bit to resort where all the lines went. Each car is a little different on how everything fits, and return fuel lines and all the electrical sensors and lines. But we got everything tucked away and looking pretty good. Just got to hook up the MAC valve, and we'll be good. So as soon as I get a belt, I have to grab some coolant. We'll get some fluids in it. And we'll make some oil pressure without starting it up, make sure the motor sounds good, make sure we're building good oil pressure, and we'll be good to go. So something I want to show everybody real quick. So we have 1 barb, 2 barb, 3 barb, all different sizes, okay, on the MAC valve. So what I found with blow-off valves, boost control and all that you really want to have the same size line everywhere. And for blow-off valves, you want about the largest line you can put. It gets the air quicker, more air, better flow. And with boost control, it's the same thing. You don't want different size lines to different ports of the MAC valve. It can act even more erratic. Not to mention, this is a 4-port, so they're already extremely sensitive. So having different size ports and different size vacuum lines and all that, it just makes for more headache. So make sure all your lines are the same size in and out of the MAC valve, in and out of your wastegates. It just acts as a better reference. Everything's even. So we're gonna go ahead and put all the same size barbs back on this. I like quick disconnect fittings, but Dylan's got hoses, so hoses work. And he also has the barb fittings for his blow-off valves, and these work good. I actually have no problems using stuff like that. So everything will work fine. So we're gonna go ahead and swap out these barbs quick and get him some new silicone line on his MAC valve. Word of advice for all you hose, silicone, rubber hose, all that stuff for the wastegate and all that. Zip ties is your best friend, guys. Zip tie everything that has a hose or any kind of barb fitting, okay? When you start running that man boost, you know what I'm talking about? When you're just gonna send it. You know what I'm saying? You need to have zip ties. I've seen so many guys blow wastegate lines off, blow motors up, lose fuel pressure of reference lines, and blow it up because, well, that's gonna be catastrophic when you lose fuel pressure or your bottom dome pops off and then you send 50 pounds of boost through your motor. That's only designed to run 15 pounds of boost. Zip tie, guys. Almost every time I remote tune somebody and something goes amok, the first thing I say is check all your back lines and make sure they're all zip tied. And 95% of the time, they're blowing boost lines off. So zip ties, buy a lot of them. I literally have a bin dedicated to zip ties. And it's always full because you can never have enough zip ties. All right, guys, so we can go ahead and put our oil in it. We're gonna use, Brad Penn braking oil. So this is their 30 weight Brad Penn braking oil. Penn grade, they changed their name, still Brad Penn. The reason I use braking oil is it allows your rings to seal better. So I never really used braking oil until my last motor, and I can tell you that I feel like I did see better seal and compression numbers after the motor was broke in. So as you guys know, for engine break-in, there's really nothing to break in besides your rings. You know, maybe 30, 40 years ago when motors weren't that great, you know, maybe you need some lapping in the camshafts and et cetera, et cetera. But today's motors, no metal should be touching one another at all. The only thing that touches in a motor, metal-wise, is the actual ring against the cylinder wall. Everything else has a layer of oil. So there's nothing to break in. So when guys say I need to run my motor for 500 miles for break-in, it's a very long myth. Years ago, when I take my motor out, it sees 30 some pounds of boost in the first hit. So the reason you do that is you want pressure down on the rings so the rings push out against the cylinder walls and they get a nice good seal. Because the first 5 or 10 miles, those rings are forming to that cylinder wall and you need to get that scrape and push against the cylinder wall to get that good hatch and that good seal. So for me, braking oil for the first 5 or 10 miles, I basically go out and do a series of acceleration and deacceleration to put pressure and negative pressure on the rings inside the cylinder walls. And after about 5 miles or so of a heat and a cool down cycle, your motor's pretty much broke in. You might see a little bit more of a compression jump, you know, the next couple of hits, but as far as braking, that's it. And then I end up draining this out and putting in our normal motor oil. So I like braking oil. Like I said, I feel like I did see a difference with my last 2.4 motor. So now I'm kind of a believer in it. So we're gonna go ahead and put in braking oil and Dillions block and do the exact same process as I always do with all of my motors. got a little carried away, but so we got our charge pipes on, everything's bolted up. We just need a belt and a oil filter, and we would have cranked it up. I can actually crank it without the belt. I need an oil filter. He's got like a funky relocation. It takes a certain oil filter. The Honda filter fits, but the threads are a little different, so I don't really want to put the Honda oil filter on there, so we're going to get the one that he used to have. So as soon as we get an oil filter, we'll be able to crank and make some pressure. And then as soon as I get a belt, we'll be able to run. So I got to do some things this afternoon. So probably tomorrow, we'll go ahead and get the belt, oil filter tonight, and then tomorrow morning, she should be running. So stay tuned, guys. We're going to be running real soon. All right, guys, we are in the car. And we're going to do a dry run here. So we got our AM Infinity. Here we have oil pressure. So we're gonna go ahead and crank over the car. We have no spark plugs. Fuel injectors are unhooked. We do not have a belt, but we're gonna go ahead and get oil pressure. See how she sounds.
That sounds good. Wait on oil pressure.
It can take a while. And there it is. There's our oil pressure, guys. All right, so we have oil pressure. We don't have a belt currently. We got to wait for a belt, but we got oil pressure, we got fuel pressure. Everything's looking good. We could give it a quick start with no belt. It won't have an alternator and it won't have a water pump, so we couldn't run it for very long, but we could at least see if it fires up. All right, first startup. It's not going to be very long. We don't have any belts, but we want to make sure that it fires up. Battery.
Oh, would you look at that?
Well, our battery don't have enough juice, so we might have to go get the generator and get the big charger on them. So we'll be back. All right, we got a inverter hooked up, so that should give us a little bit of juice. Let's see what type of voltages we got. Only took 1 or 2 little tries and she's good. We got no leaks. Nothing looks amuck. Everything looks good. Motor sounds good and healthy. Once we get her warmed up and get it broken, we will check valve lashed just to make sure that everything looks good up top. But so far, everything looks really good, guys. So, well, we are good to go, guys. We just gotta wait on a belt. We're gonna go ahead and do the coolant here really quick and then wait on this belt. And once the belt comes in, we'll get our coolant all burped and start messing with the idle and the tube. And then we're just waiting on drive shaft bolts, and then we'll be able to test her. All right, so we're here. We got a belt finally. We do have drive shaft bolts, but it's getting late, so I'm not gonna throw the drive shaft on yet. So that'll be tomorrow morning. Tomorrow morning will be tune day, as long as everything goes good tonight. So we're going to burp the coolant here and set the fuel pressure and make sure everything looks good on the tune. I already went through the tune a little bit, changed some stuff, made sure everything looked good. But let's go ahead and crank her up, get her running up the temp, and get the coolant burped. And then tomorrow's gonna be tune day. So we're there, guys. She is there. See if this old battery starts. Might have to hook up the inverter. Super responsive. All right, well, she's running, guys. I'm gonna go ahead and get a couple more things worked out, but everything sounds good. No leaks. Motor sounds great. Super responsive. I'm going to continue to burp it, and then you guys will be on the ride tomorrow when we tune. So again, guys, thanks. Thanks for all the support. Comment, like, and subscribe. You guys got questions, comments, shoot them in the comments, and I'll see you guys next time. Later. How's this for running steady? Look at that idle. Look at that idle. Nice and steady.